Derita, derita, derita. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, okay. Hop, 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 hop. No le move. Asparagus.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Stephanie. Welcome back to my channel. So in the video today, I wanted to talk about what are must-haves for PA school, specifically your didactic year. So for those of you who are about to start PA school, I want to say congratulations. It is definitely going to be a tough journey, but it is very, very rewarding. I actually think about it on the first day of PA school that I started, and then think about now. And so currently I'm a second year PA student. I'm about to graduate in a few months, and I've learned so much in those 2 years, so much. So you learn so much information, and how much you learn is really going to depend on you, whether you want to learn, okay? I know PA school is very hard because you're learning a lot of information in such a short amount of time, but it's very rewarding if medicine is something you want to pursue, if treating patients is something you want to pursue. So what are the things that I recommend for PA school? Definitely a computer. You want to make sure that you have a good, strong computer. If you have an old computer that isn't working or it turns on and turns off, then I do not recommend that because you're going to be taking a lot of exams during your didactic year, okay? I know, for example, during my finals, I would have about 10 exams sometimes, like that last week or those last 2 weeks, and you're taking those exams on computer. Now, some programs may have it on paper, but I know for my program specifically, we took all our exams on our computer. So you want to make sure that your computer is working because you don't want to be that person that is taking your exam and then your computer shuts off in the middle and it's just bad. And it makes you, I mean, you're already anxious taking your exams and nervous. And then on top of that, if your computer just shuts down, it's going to make you even more anxious and more nervous. So I really recommend a computer. If you have to really invest in a new computer, definitely do it. My program, for example, they were very big on Apple. You don't have to get Apple, but for me, I recommend Apple. The reason why is because some of the applications that we used for PA school were on Apple. But like I said, you don't have to have an Apple product. I just recommend Apple. So definitely a new computer, invest in that if you can. I have an Apple, I have a Mac. My computer, thankfully, I purchased it in 2013 and it still works perfectly fine till this day. It's 2020 and I've had no issues with it. So I've still been able to take it, and I've taken multiple exams during my didactic year and clinical year and it has not failed me whatsoever. Also, you're gonna have a lot of quizzes, so that's why you wanna make sure you have a computer, okay? Another thing that I recommend, and if you have the money to do it, is an iPad, guys. I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan. Definitely recommend an iPad if you can. I would say that almost everyone in my program had an iPad. I think only a few classmates didn't, but almost everyone in my PA program had an iPad, whether it was a previous version. This is actually one of the newer versions that came out, but that's because I ended up purchasing this late because I had a Galaxy Tab before. But I really recommend an iPad if you can for PA school. What I do is that I basically use my computer for my exams because some of my exams also are monitored. And you need to have the camera open, especially now with this whole COVID-19, most of the exams that we take are monitored. So basically you have the camera open and it's making sure that you don't cheat. It looks at your movements of your face and your body to see if you're looking this way or that way or down or up or something that may notify the camera that you're cheating. So that's why for my computers, for my exams, I use my computer. And then certain applications need to be used on the computer, so I can't use my iPad. My iPad though, what I use it primarily is to study, okay? So I really, really recommend an iPad during class, especially this one. It comes with a pen, and I go in there and I write notes. So the app that I use a lot is Notability, okay? And then on top of that, guys, you guys can add a lot of books on your iPad. So I have a lot of ebooks here, and I have a lot of them, you can see. So I have a lot of ebooks on my iPad. Instead of having to carry around all your textbooks because you have a lot of textbooks in PA school, you can put them all in your iPad. This one, gigabytes, is 256. I've been in 2 years in PA school and I still have about 156 gigabytes left on it, but I have a lot of textbooks on there. I think I have more than like 50 textbooks, and they're big textbooks, like 1,000 pages each. So I have a lot of textbooks on this, and then on top of that, I have all my notes from PA school, my didactic year and clinical year. And you can go on here during PA school. What I would do is that I would download my didactic year. I would download the PowerPoints from the professor through Blackboard, And then you go on there, and then I would write and highlight with my pen. And then when you're in class, I would just sit like this, bring up the PowerPoint, and then I'm typing while the professor is talking or adding to my notes. And this has all your notes versus a journal, for example, or if you have some type of notebook, you know, you're having to flip through the pages. And here, no, you have everything on here, and you can just search everything on there. So this is why I really, really recommend iPad. I use my iPad for everything. I actually use it a lot more than I use my computer. I only use my computer for my exams, and that's it. But I use my iPads for studying. I have all my textbooks on there. I use it for everything, to watch YouTube videos, to watch Osmosis videos on current diseases, etc. So I really, really recommend an iPad for your didactic year. Another thing that I recommend is headphones. Now this is something that you don't have to get, but I got it. So I ended up getting some over-the-ear Beats, or if you like in-ear also. I like over-the-ear because they don't bother my ears, and they're actually the noise canceling Beats. You can go with whatever brand you want, but I ended up getting these because I like to switch environments when I'm studying. During your didactic year, even your clinical year, but especially your didactic year, you're going to do a lot of studying. So you want to make sure that you find an area where you can study. And so I like to study a lot at Starbucks, especially on weekends. I would spend about 10 to 12 hours studying every weekend for PA school. And you know, Starbucks sometimes can be a little noisy. So what I would do is I would just put my headphones on, and I would sit there and study that entire time. And so if I could, like I said, if you can, I really recommend some type of headphones. Also, my headphones, I'm a huge person who likes to listen to podcasts. I love podcasts. There's a lot of educational podcasts that I used in addition to my textbooks and to my notes for my didactic year. And so what I would do is that from home to PA school, I listened to the podcast, of course, in my car. I got off. And then since my university is a large university, I would walk from my car to where my classes were. And it was about sometimes like a 10-minute walk. And then during that walk, I put my headphones on, and then I would listen to the podcasts. Or if I recorded some of my professors, and I would listen to my professors. If I worked out, if I went on a walk, I would listen to these podcasts or also to my professors. Repetition is really the key, whether it is doing it through flashcards, whether it is doing it through reviewing the information every day, or even podcast. Repetition is the key, and you'll see how much it'll help you on your grades and how much your grades will improve. So that's why I really, really recommend headphones if you can. If you like to study in areas like in Starbucks, or just switch in different environments of studying, because I felt like if I studied in one environment, I got tired of it. So I needed to switch, whether it was going to a library, to the school library, to the public library, to Starbucks, to another Starbucks. I was always switching around, or a different coffee shop. So I really, really recommend headphones if you can purchase them for PA school. And then, of course, your pen, okay? So I really recommend this. I think it was a great investment in addition to my iPad. So I can go in here, I can highlight, I can draw, I can do whatever I want with this. So I really recommend pen for your iPad. Another thing that I recommend for sure is your diagnostic kit. I actually made a separate video, which I'll link below, for your diagnostic kit for PA school. Make sure that you get a good diagnostic kit. Do not go with a cheap diagnostic kit, guys. I did that the first time. I did that mistake, and I bought my diagnostic kit on Amazon, and it broke within a few months. And so I had to go back and buy a better diagnostic kit. Welch has really good diagnostic kits, and they give really good discounts to students. So if you can afford it, definitely recommend Welch Allen diagnostic kits. And then on top of that, most of the PAs or NPs or even doctors I shadowed or precepted me, they had their Welch Allen otoscope or their ophthalmoscope, because some of the clinics that they worked in, the ophthalmoscopes or otoscopes weren't working, and so they used that from when they were in class. So that's why it's really a good investment also, because you can use that in the future when you are practicing as a physician assistant or as a provider. So I really recommend that also. Another thing that I recommend for PA school is making sure that you get a good backpack, okay? So that backpack is going to last you for 2 years. So make sure you get a good, strong backpack, because if you're not a person that likes to get ebooks on your iPad, then you can carry textbooks in your backpack, right? And sometimes if you'll put a lot of stuff in my backpack, like I carried my computer to class every day, I carried my iPad, and then certain classes that I felt like I needed a hard copy of the textbook, then I would carry them with me also. And then on top of that, you'll be in class long days. So I remember being in class from like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 sometimes, and you have a break in between for lunch. So I would also carry my lunch with me during my didactic year, and then I would also carry some snacks also so I can snack in between because I would get really hungry. So you're carrying a lot of stuff in your backpack. So get a strong, sturdy backpack if you can. One of my classmates had like this huge backpack, this camper backpack, and it was just amazing because she could fit so much things in it. She could fit like 2 water bottles, 3 water bottles, because you're drinking so much water, right? Because you're sitting down. And she fit so much. And then I had one classmate that would carry around luggage literally wherever she went. And I knew who she was because you could hear her carrying like the luggage from the hallway. But I would really recommend a backpack. But whatever is good for you, just something that's big because you're going to put a lot of things in it. Okay? And that also, like, for example, during your anatomy class, for my anatomy class, not all programs have cadaver labs, but my program had a cadaver lab. And that cadaver lab, it smelled so much, guys. Like when you went in, your clothing would stink, it would stench. And so for example, for me, I would stay in school all day. So if my anatomy lab ended like at 12, then I would stay until like 8 or 9 at the school library and just study if I had an exam the next day. And what I would do is I would just carry extra clothing because I didn't want to smell like cadaver. And you can smell people, like when you're in the elevator, you go in there and you could smell that there was a PA student here that was in the cadaver lab because they just smelled the entire elevator. So, you know, if you can pack extra clothing if your program does have a cadaver lab, etc. So that's why make sure you have a good backpack. It's a strong backpack and it's a large backpack so you can put a lot of things in it. Another thing that I recommend in regards to applications and programs is that I recommend definitely Osmosis. So Osmosis is fantastic. I probably talked about this previously in a previous video. It's basically a website where it has a lot of videos. If you're a visual person like I am, it has a lot of videos on diseases, on pathophysiology, pharmacology, anatomy, physiology. It's a great video. I use this in supplement to my textbooks and to my notes. Another one I recommend is PANCE. PANCE is great also, and they have a lot of practice questions that are very similar to the questions you'll see on your didactic exams. So PANCE is also great. I think that one's around 40 to 50 bucks per year. Osmosis, on the other hand, it's more expensive. I think I paid 200 or 250, but I got it for 2 years. But with Osmosis, you get a lot. You get videos, you get flashcards. I'm currently in my clinical year. Like I said, I'm about to graduate, and I still use their flashcards. Their flashcards are amazing because it's everything: physiology, anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, pharmacology, clinical medicine. It's everything. PANCE also has really good questions, but theirs are more geared towards clinical medicine. But Osmosis has everything, so I really, really recommend Osmosis. I recommend PANCE. Textbooks I recommend is definitely your PANCE Prep Pearls. That's a really, really good textbook that I recommend. And then also I recommend a Roche Review textbook. They have this textbook that is really good. I'm a visual person, like I said, so this textbook is really good also for me. And then free things like on YouTube videos, YouTubers, I recommend Armando Hasurigan. He is fantastic. He has a lot of free videos that go over pathophysiology, your physiology, anatomy, pharmacology, and they're all free. So they're similar to Osmosis, but of course Osmosis has a lot more videos. But if you want to go to the free route, then Armando Hasurigan, I really, really recommend him also. So that's basically what I recommend for PA school. And then of course also your stethoscope, right? Make sure you get a good stethoscope. If you can, I recommend a dark color. I ended up getting mine a hot pink color. It was actually a gift, but I really like pink, and mine was hot pink. And sometimes when I would be in clinic, I would be in a rush and I would grab it and put it in my pocket. And if I had pens, because during your clinical year of PA school, you're going to be carrying a lot of pens. And me, I would be in a hurry. I would sometimes put the pen in my pocket and I wouldn't even cap it. And then I would put my stethoscope in there, and then I would get pen marks all over it. I had pen marks, and I do still have pen marks all over my hot pink stethoscope. And I haven't been able to take it out. So it's really, really sad. So make sure if you can, get a dark color. That way if you do get these pen marks, you can't really notice it on them. But make sure you get a good stethoscope if you can. I really recommend it. It'll be a really good investment for your didactic year and also your clinical year, and in the future also once you're practicing PA. But yes, these are some of the things that I recommend for you for PA school. Like I said, definitely a computer, okay, a good computer, a laptop if you can. Definitely, if you can, also I really recommend an iPad. You don't have to print anything with this. Rarely in PA school did I print anything. I think I only printed something twice, and if I did, it's because I would go to the library, the school library, and print it from there because I didn't have a printer. So if you have one of these, you really don't have to invest in a printer, guys, okay? But if you're a person, like some of my classmates, they liked more hard copies and they would print out all their notes, then you can definitely invest in a printer. But with an iPad, I mean, you already have everything on there. You have all your textbooks, you have all your notes, and it's all organized, okay? And you don't really need a printer. And if you can, I would really recommend you get it with the keyboard. Invest in the keyboard. It's great, especially when you're in class. You can just type and add notes to your previous notes or to the PowerPoints also. And then a good backpack, definitely a good backpack because you're going to be carrying a lot. And if you can, also a good lunchbox also, because it gets expensive if you buy food every day at school. I know for me, like the first few weeks, that's what I did because they had like Chick-fil-A and they had all these other restaurants, Pizza Hut, and so I would go and buy food, but then you get tired of it, and then on top of that, it starts getting expensive. And so I just started bringing lunch. So if you can, buy a good lunchbox, okay? And then apps, Osmosis, websites, definitely recommend Osmosis. I think out of all of them, my top one is Osmosis. PANCE is really good also. And then you have free ones like YouTube. Armando Hasurugan is great. Okay, and then textbooks, PANCE Prep Pearls, definitely. You have your Roche review book also. You can do Step Up to Medicine also, which I used, but I used more PANCE Prep Pearls and also my professor's PowerPoints and then the Roche review book. But you can also use the Step Up to Medicine books. They're good also. Alright guys, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. As always, if you guys have any questions for me, make sure you comment below and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.